The conference hall smelled like failure and recycled air. I stood there, all four of my arms crossed in what I hoped looked like maximum intimidation, watching the humans file in through the reinforced doors. My name is Vrask, third claw of the Korvathian Dominion, and I had been looking forward to this moment for 3 full cycles that we had sent the challenge 6 months ago. A formal declaration of combat supremacy, delivered with all the traditional fanfare our civilization could muster. We expected warriors. We expected soldiers dripping with weapons and rage. We expected at least a token effort at matching our legendary battle prowess. Instead, Earth sent these people. The first human through the door was a small female, wearing something called a pantsuit. She carried a leather briefcase that probably cost more than my battle armor. Her name tag read Minister Yuki Tanaka. She smiled at me. Actually smiled, like we were meeting for afternoon beverages instead of determining which species would dominate this sector of space. "Good morning," she chirped, extending one soft, weaponless hand. "I hope the journey wasn't too difficult. We've prepared some refreshments." I stared at her hand like it might explode. "Refreshments? Oh yes. Coffee, tea, some pastries. We weren't sure about your dietary requirements, so we brought a variety." Behind her, 3 more humans entered. A tall male with graying hair who introduced himself as Ambassador Marcus Webb. A younger woman named Dr. Lisa Hammond who apparently specialized in xenocultural relations. And finally, a nervous-looking man clutching a tablet, someone named Trevor Kim from their legal department. "Legal department, where are your warriors?" I demanded, my voice echoing off the metal walls. "Where are your champions?" We issued a formal challenge of combat. Minister Tanaka set her briefcase down gently on the table, clicked it open, and pulled out a stack of papers. Real papers, not even digital displays. "Yes, about that. We've reviewed your challenge very carefully, and we have some concerns about the proposed framework." Concerns? My scales were turning purple with confusion. This is not a negotiation. This is a declaration of war. "Well," Ambassador Webb interjected smoothly, taking a seat without being invited. "Technically, according to the Galactic Convention of 2247, any formal challenge must go through proper diplomatic channels before military action can be authorized. You did file this as a formal challenge, correct?" I felt my secondary brain starting to hurt. "Yes, but wonderful. Then we're all on the same page." Dr. Hammond opened her own folder, revealing charts and graphs that made my eyes cross. "We've done some preliminary research on Korvathian combat traditions. Fascinating stuff, really. But we noticed something interesting in the historical records." She tapped a document. "Your species has issued exactly 47 formal challenges over the past 2 centuries. 47. And you know what's remarkable? 32 of those conflicts ended not with combat, but with negotiated settlements after the initial diplomatic phase. Those species were cowards," I sputtered. "They saw our might and surrendered." Or, Trevor Kim suggested quietly, still clutching his tablet like a security blanket, "They engaged with the process in good faith and found mutually beneficial solutions that prevented unnecessary bloodshed." Minister Tanaka was writing something down. "We've prepared a proposal. It outlines a series of economic partnerships, technology exchanges, and cultural programs that we believe would benefit both our species far more than any military conflict." "This is insane," I roared, slamming 2 of my fists on the table. The humans didn't even flinch. "We are the Korvathian Dominion. We have conquered 17 star systems. We have a fleet that blocks out suns. We have warriors who train from birth in the sacred arts of battle." "Impressive," Ambassador Webb acknowledged, nodding thoughtfully. "Your military history is quite distinguished. But may I ask, when was your last major conflict?" 70 cycles ago, I said proudly. "We crushed the Helvian Collective in just 3 months. "Right, the Helvians." Dr. Hammond flipped through her notes. "Population, 2 billion. Industrial capacity, roughly 15% of yours. Limited space fleet, mostly defensive installations." She looked up. "Earth has 8 billion people, Minister Vrask. Our industrial capacity spans 4 planets and 17 major orbital facilities. We've been broadcasting entertainment media across the galaxy for decades, which means everyone knows exactly what we're capable of producing. And here's the thing, we don't actually want to fight you. But you must." I was practically begging now. "Honor demands it." Minister Tanaka slid a document across the table. Page 47, Section 12, Paragraph 6. According to your own challenge protocols, if the challenge party engages in good faith diplomatic efforts for a minimum of 90 standard days, combat can be postponed indefinitely pending successful negotiations. I picked up the document with trembling claws. She was right. It was right there in our own ancient laws. The document felt heavier than my ceremonial warblade that I read the passage 3 times, each time hoping the words would somehow rearrange themselves into something that made sense for a warrior civilization. They did not. Minister Tanaka sat there with that same pleasant smile, waiting patiently while my entire worldview crumbled like a sand fortress in a solar storm. This cannot be, I muttered, scanning the text again. No species has ever actually used this clause. Well, Trevor Kim said, adjusting his glasses nervously. There is a first time for everything. We printed out 17 copies if you need to verify with your legal counsel. Legal counsel. We had warriors, generals, battle tacticians. We had 17 different words for honor-based murder. But legal counsel? That department consisted of one elderly Korvathian named Thrak who mostly handled property disputes and kept falling asleep during important meetings. Ambassador Webb leaned forward, his expression sympathetic but firm. Minister Vrask, let me be direct with you. We understand that combat is central to your culture. We respect that. But Earth has spent the last 3 centuries finding creative ways to avoid fighting when possible. Not because we cannot fight, mind you. Because fighting is expensive, destructive, and generally makes everyone miserable. Miserable. I felt my vocal sacs inflating with indignation. Combat is glorious. It sorts the strong from the weak. It proves superiority. Dr. Hammond pulled out another chart. This woman had charts for everything. Let us talk about economics for a moment. Your last military campaign against the Helvians cost you, by our calculations, approximately 4 trillion credits. Infrastructure damage, fleet repairs, medical costs for wounded warriors, death benefits for fallen soldiers, post-war reconstruction. 4 trillion credits over 3 months. She slid the chart toward me. Meanwhile, during that same 3-month period, Earth negotiated trade agreements with 6 different species that generated roughly 8 trillion credits in economic growth. No deaths, no destroyed cities, just boring paperwork and handshakes. But glory, I started weakly. Glory does not pay pensions, Minister Tanaka said gently. And speaking of pensions, we noticed that Korvathian military retirement benefits have been cut 4 times in the past decade. Your warrior class is aging, Minister. What happens to them after they can no longer fight? How did she know about the pension cuts? That information was supposed to be classified. I felt my scales shifting from purple confusion to orange alarm. Your social welfare programs are underfunded, she continued, pulling out yet another document. Your education system ranks 47th among spacefaring civilizations. Your infrastructure needs massive upgrades. And here you are, proposing to spend enormous resources on a war that will benefit no one. Ambassador Webb picked up where she left off. Now, our proposal offers something different. We establish a joint economic zone. We share certain technologies, you share others. We set up cultural exchange programs. Your young warriors can train with our Olympic athletes, our diplomatic corps, even our extreme sports enthusiasts if they want physical challenges. We create opportunities that do not require anyone to die. Olympic athletes? I asked, confused by the term. Dr. Hammond's eyes lit up. Oh no, she was excited now. Humans who dedicate their entire lives to physical perfection and competition. Wrestling, boxing, mixed martial arts, gymnastics, marathon running, swimming, weightlifting. We have entire stadiums where people compete for glory without actual warfare. She pulled up a video on her tablet. It showed 2 humans grappling on a mat while thousands screamed encouragement. This is the World Wrestling Championship. Pure combat skill, brutal physical contact, winners and losers, glory and defeat. Everything your warriors crave, except nobody dies and everyone gets medical insurance. I watched the video with growing fascination and horror. The humans were genuinely impressive fighters, even without weapons. But this is not war, I protested. No, Minister Tanaka agreed. It is better than war. War destroys. Competition builds. Your warriors could compete on the galactic stage, prove their skills, earn genuine respect from billions of viewers across known space. Some of our top athletes earn millions in endorsements. They become celebrities, heroes, icons. Endorsements. My third brain was definitely hurting now. Trevor Kim finally spoke up again, his nervousness seeming to fade as he got into technical details. Advertising revenue, sponsorships, merchandise sales. A successful warrior athlete could earn more in one competition season than most military commanders make in a decade. And they get to do it while their bodies still function correctly, instead of waiting until they are too old and broken to enjoy retirement. Ambassador Webb stood up and walked to the window overlooking the station's main concourse. Minister Vrask, let me ask you something honestly. Do you actually want to fight us? Or do you want your species to thrive? I opened my mouth to answer, then closed it again. The honest truth was complicated. I had been raised on stories of glorious battle. I had trained my entire life for combat. The idea of settling disputes through conversation felt fundamentally wrong, like trying to breathe underwater. But I also thought about Krenth, my battalion commander, who lost 3 limbs in the Helvian campaign and now lived on inadequate disability payments. I thought about the training academies that kept losing funding. I thought about the shipyards that could barely maintain our aging fleet. Minister Tanaka must have sensed my hesitation because she pressed forward with the efficiency of a plasma torpedo. Let me show you something else, she said, pulling up a holographic display that materialized above the conference table. This is a comparative analysis of species that chose military expansion versus diplomatic cooperation over the past century. The hologram showed 2 branching paths, one red and violent, one blue and peaceful. The red path species showed initial territorial gains followed by economic decline, social instability, and eventual stagnation. The blue path species showed steady growth across every measurable metric. The Draxian Empire, she pointed to one red branch, conquered 12 systems in 40 years. Their economy collapsed within 60 years. They are now accepting humanitarian aid from species they once considered inferior. The Tentari Collective, she gestured to a blue branch, focused on trade and cultural exchange. Their economy grew 800%. Their citizens report the highest quality of life scores in the galaxy. They did not fire a single weapon. I stared at the data, feeling something unfamiliar creeping through my consciousness. It might have been doubt. It might have been common sense. Whatever it was, I did not like it. Dr. Hammond seized the opportunity. Minister Vrask, your species has remarkable qualities. Your physical strength is exceptional. Your tactical thinking is sophisticated. Your cultural emphasis on discipline and training produces incredibly capable individuals. But you are applying all of that potential toward an outdated model of success. Outdated. I bristled despite my growing uncertainty. Yes, outdated, she said firmly but not unkindly. Look, humans went through the same thing. We spent thousands of years thinking military might was the ultimate measure of civilization. We built weapons that could destroy our entire planet. We came very close to using them, more than once. And then we realized something important. She paused for effect. The strongest species is not the one that can destroy the most. It is the one that can build the most, create the most, adapt the most, and convince others to work with them voluntarily. Ambassador Webb returned to his seat. You want to know why Earth sent diplomats instead of soldiers? Because we knew that if we sent soldiers, you would fight them, and regardless of who won, both our civilizations would lose. People would die, resources would be wasted, hatred would fester for generations. And for what? So someone could claim dominance over a few star systems. But what about respect? I asked, hating how desperate my voice sounded. If we simply negotiate instead of fighting, will not other species see us as weak? Trevor Kim actually laughed at that. Laughed. Minister, do you have any idea how difficult diplomacy is? Fighting is easy. Point weapons, pull triggers, destroy things. Negotiation requires patience, intelligence, creativity, and the ability to understand perspectives completely different from your own. It requires strength of character, not just strength of arms. Minister Tanaka nodded agreement. The galaxy does not respect brutes anymore, Minister Vrask. That era ended when species started developing weapons capable of planetary annihilation. Now the galaxy respects civilizations that can solve problems without destroying everything around them. That is actual power. She pulled out another document, this one with colorful tabs marking different sections. Our proposal includes a cultural rehabilitation program. We help you transition your warrior traditions into productive channels. Your military academies can expand into leadership institutes. Your combat training can feed into security services, competitive sports, exploration corps, disaster response teams. Your people still get to be strong and brave and disciplined. They just do it in ways that build instead of destroy. And if we refuse? I asked, though I already suspected the answer. The room got quieter. Ambassador Webb's friendly demeanor shifted slightly, revealing something harder underneath. Then we engage in good faith diplomatic efforts for the required 90 days as specified in your own protocols. During that time, we will make our economic proposal available to other Korvathian factions who might be interested. We will broadcast information about the pension cuts, the infrastructure problems, and the true costs of your military campaigns to your general population. He let that sink in. We will demonstrate to your people that their leadership chose expensive warfare over their well-being. And after 90 days, if you still want combat, we will give it to you. But Minister Vrask, let me be very clear. His eyes went cold. If you force us to fight, we will not send warriors seeking glory. We will send automated defense systems, coordinated fleet actions, and strategic capabilities you cannot match. It will not be a battle. It will be an extermination dressed up in your paperwork. And when it is over, historians will note that the Korvathian Dominion chose pride over survival. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Dr. Hammond placed a hand on Webb's arm, a gentle reminder to pull back. He did, his expression softening again. But we do not want that, she said quietly. Nobody wants that. We want you to thrive, Minister Vrask. We genuinely do. Earth has learned that the galaxy is better when everyone succeeds. Your culture has value. Your people have potential. We just need you to redirect it. Minister Tanaka stood up and extended her hand again. 90 days, Minister. Give us 90 days to show you what cooperation can accomplish. Tour our facilities. Meet our people. Watch our athletes compete. Review our economic models. Talk to your own citizens about what they actually want. I looked at her outstretched hand for a long moment, watching it hover there in the recycled air of the conference hall. Such a small gesture, really. 5 fragile fingers extended in peace. No claws, no combat enhancements, no visible weapons. Just flesh and bone, and an offer I could not quite believe was genuine. My communication implant bust. High Command wanted an update. They expected me to return with coordinates for the initial strike, battle formations approved, glory confirmed. Instead, I had charts about pension funds and videos of humans wrestling in spandex. This is madness, I said, but my voice lacked conviction. Probably. Ambassador Webb agreed cheerfully. Most good ideas seem mad at first. Democracy seemed mad. Space travel seemed mad. Putting pineapple on pizza seemed mad. And honestly, that one still is, but millions of humans do it anyway. Dr. Hammond snorted, trying to cover a laugh. Ambassador, please. My point, he continued, is that humanity has built an entire civilization on trying things that seemed impossible or ridiculous. Sometimes we fail spectacularly, but sometimes we succeed in ways that change everything. Minister Tanaka's hand was still extended, still waiting. 90 days, she repeated softly. What do you have to lose? Everything, my warrior instinct screamed. Our traditions, our identity, our entire way of life. But another part of me, perhaps the part that remembered Krynth struggling to eat with his remaining arm, wondered what we had already lost by clinging to those traditions so desperately that I reached out with my primary hand and grasped hers. Her grip was firm despite the lack of claws. 90 days, I agreed. But I make no promises beyond that. Fair enough. She smiled again, and this time I noticed it reached her eyes. Genuine pleasure at avoiding violence. What a strange species. We will start tomorrow with a tour of our economic centers. Then perhaps a sporting event. I think you would enjoy rugby. Very physical, lots of tactical thinking, minimal death. Minimal? I asked suspiciously. Well, accidents happen, Trevor Kim admitted. But we have excellent medical facilities. The meeting concluded with more handshakes, more documents, more promises of future discussions. As the humans filed out, chatting amongst themselves about dinner arrangements and hotel accommodations, I stood alone in the conference hall trying to process what had just occurred that I had come here expecting battle. I got spreadsheets. I expected glory. I got economic projections. I expected to prove Korvathian superiority through combat. Instead, I agreed to watch humans chase a ball around a field for 90 days. My implant buzzed again. High command, more insistent now. I drafted a careful message explaining that initial diplomatic protocols required engagement per our own ancient laws, that combat was merely delayed, that everything was proceeding according to tradition. All technically true, even if the spirit of the message was somewhat misleading. The response came back quickly. Approval, but impatient. High command wanted results. They wanted conquest. They wanted something to justify the enormous military budget that was slowly bankrupting our civilization. That I looked at the documents Minister Tanaka had left behind. Economic projections showing growth potential. Cultural exchange programs offering purpose for retiring warriors. Technology sharing agreements that could modernize our aging infrastructure. Athletic competitions that could channel our combat instincts into something productive. It all seemed too good to be true. Humans were either the most brilliantly manipulative species in the galaxy, or they genuinely believed cooperation was superior to conquest. Possibly both. Probably both, if I was being honest. The question was whether I believed it. Whether I could walk away from everything I had been taught, everything I had trained for, everything that defined what it meant to be Korvathian. Whether I could look my fellow warriors in the eyes and tell them there was honor in negotiation, glory in peaceful competition, strength in choosing not to fight. That I gathered the documents carefully, tucking them into my tactical pouch next to my ceremonial knife. The knife I had expected to baptize in human blood. The knife that would apparently remain sheathed for at least 90 more days. As I left the conference hall, I noticed something on the wall. A human poster showing two figures shaking hands beneath text that read, "The best victory is when the opponent surrenders of its own accord before there are any actual hostilities." Sun Tzu, The Art of War. I stopped to read it again. The Art of War. Humans had ancient warriors too, philosophers who understood combat deeply. And this Sun Tzu person apparently believed the greatest victory was the one achieved without fighting at all. Perhaps Earth's diplomats were warriors after all. Just a different kind than I had expected. The kind who won battles with words and economic models and uncomfortable truths about pension cuts. The kind who conquered not through force, but through making cooperation more appealing than conflict. That I touched my communication implant one more time. 90 days, I had agreed. 90 days to see if humans were right. 90 days to determine if the Korvathian Dominion could evolve beyond our warrior past into something new. And if at the end of those 90 days I still believed combat was the answer, well, the humans had made their position clear. It would not be the glorious battle I had imagined. It would be swift, brutal, and final, but something told me it would not come to that. Something in Minister Tanaka's patient smile, Ambassador Webb's calculating eyes, Dr. Hammond's passionate charts. They had fought this battle before, probably dozens of times with dozens of species. And they had won every single one without firing a shot. The warrior race challenged Earth to combat. Earth sent its diplomats. It was still a massacre. We just did not realize we were the ones being defeated until we had already signed the peace treaty. So what did you think? Did this story surprise you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this sci-fi story, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more mind-blowing science fiction stories every week. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.